ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ गुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै गुकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्मविद्याचार्याय नचिकेतसे च। This is the prayer with which Adi Shankara begins the Upanishad. That is why we also say this. Om Namo Bhagavate Namaha. Om, which is the teaching with which Lord Yama starts the transmission. Om, and then Namaha, salutations, surrender unto who? Bhagava. Who is this Bhagava? Vivaswan, Vivasvata, Vaivasvata. Vaivasvata. Vivaswan is the sun, so the one who belongs to the solar lineage. Vaivasvata, unto him, Vaivasvataya. And who is this? So many people belong, even Lord Rama belonged to the solar lineage. Are we doing prostrations unto him? No, Mrityave. Unto the Adhishthana Devata of death. The one who has say over the matters of death. Vaivasvataya Mrityave. And why are we invoking death? When we want infinitude, when we want to be, when we want that forever, when we want to be forever, why are we invoking death? Because, interestingly, this Bhagavan in the form of death has the secrets of what we call eternity, infinitude, limitlessness. How come he has that? Because he is Brahma Vidya Acharya. He is the teacher of Brahma Vidya. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vaivasvataya Mrityave, who is what? Brahma Vidyacharya. So, Brahma Vidyacharyaya, Tasmai, fourth case will come. So, Brahma Vidyacharyaya. And then, Brahma Vidya is not something. You can know Brahma Vidya, not a big deal. But then, how do you, what's the word for it? How do you have this Brahma Vidya? Brahma Vidya you can know, but in order to teach, what do you need? A student. That's what. Even online, sometimes we feel like we are teaching ourselves on Zoom, but still there are people. There are people. And you just have to, at least in Zoom, you can see little postage stamp size people. That's why I keep saying, please keep your cameras on so that I can look at you. I know you're there, and so that it remains more or less a interpersonal thing. But then what is that? But then previously we had another classroom where it was, in the olden days, because we've been doing this since 2004, 2000. That was so long ago. And that time there was not enough bandwidth, and there was all this streaming, etc., which has picked up in the pandemic, was not there. So we just had to teach with Shraddha. That there were people that having signed in, they were also not logged into some other some other gaming site. You had to teach with total Shraddha. So here we say you have to receive the knowledge with Shraddha, but online you have to also teach with Shraddha. This is how it is. And so Brahma Vidya Acharya. Yeah. So this Acharya of Brahma Vidya, who is, Acharya is a relative term. You can't just have a guru, just Jagat Guru like that. One term you cannot have. Even though Shankaracharyas are called Jagat Gurus, but that's a different thing. You can't just have a broad blanket term, Guru of the world. There is no such thing. Guru is a relational term. Guru means somebody has invoked this person as Acharya to teach them. That's how they have become Acharya. There is no such Acharya like that. In fact, the word Acharya is formed with two root verbs. One is ching chayane, chinoti, the one who asamantat chinoti, the one who gathers what? The gems from the Shastras. And then the other root verb is jar, to move in the world here, to move, jar to move, but here it's not movement as in walking from one place to another, but how do you walk in the world? That is the char. So, a plus char, acharati, the one who walks the talk, and then the one who makes others also, inspires others also to walk the talk. This is the acharya. So, Brahma Vidya Acharyaya, Brahma Vidya Charyaya. So, unto this, and who made him Acharya? He was sitting there by himself. He knew this knowledge long time ago. Perhaps Mrs. Yama also knew this by now. And then, but then who else is there to teach until Nachiketa shows up at the door? So, because of Nachiketa, we have this Upanishad. So, we salute him also. We salute his Shraddha. We salute his Bhakti. We salute his readiness for the knowledge, so that we also imbibe all these things effortlessly. We imbibe. And so, this is the prayer. Brahma Vidyacharya. And Nachiketa say unto Nachiketa cha also. Also to Nachiketa. We bow to Nachiketa, we bow to him because he has brought out this knowledge which was latent in Lord Yama as a celestial. He knew this for a very long time. But because of him, this knowledge is available to us. And so we say Brahma Vidyacharya Nachiketa Secha. This is how Adi Shankara starts the Upanishad. And so we also, in the Parampara, this is chanted whenever we study the Kathopanishad. So now we have talked a lot about the requisites for the self-knowledge, and I have we have highlighted one thing in the personage of Nachiketa. What is it that we have highlighted? We have highlighted Shraddha. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. It's just a recap of whatever we discussed earlier. So, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. So, this Shraddha, because of which we are able to receive this knowledge. And why do we need Shraddha? Because that which we want to know, for many reasons we need Shraddha. Shraddha means a trusting mentality and an ability to receive, and where we are able to keep the doubts suspended and at bay. That is what Shraddha is. So this Shraddha is what is at stake. That is what defines whether we get this knowledge or not. And so the cultivation of this Shraddha is needed for two reasons. This trust, this devotional attitude towards the teacher and the knowledge is needed for two reasons. One is that we are talking of that which cannot be that which cannot be that which cannot be objectified. We are talking of something that is beyond objectification, cannot be objectified. It is not an object. In other words, I lack the means of knowledge in order to see what is already me. This is the second, that brings us to the second reason. First, it's not an object. The Atma, the self, is not an object. It is you. So I am not an object and I have to know myself, and I don't have the requisite means of knowledge. And so therefore the second reason for the Shraddha is that even though it's right here, even though it's already myself, I really do not know for lack of an appropriate means of knowledge. In the presence of an appropriate means of knowledge, I am okay, I can understand this. And the appropriate means of knowledge is, of course, the Shastra. And that Shastra is what? Is in the form of a possibility. That's why reading the book doesn't work. The Shastra is the Pramana under wraps. It's like a gift wrapped book. The Shastra, even if it's not gift wrapped, it's a gift and it is wrapped. The one who unwraps is the Acharya, the teacher, the Guru, because in the hands of the Guru, the Shastra becomes a handled Pramana. Otherwise, the Shastra is definitely a Pramana, but it's a sleeping Pramana. The Guru shakes the Shastra gently and says, "Wake up, there are people to listen to you, wake up." And so the Guru is the handler of this means of knowledge known as Shabda. Words of the Shastra come alive. That's why the Guru has to be, Guru himself, herself has to be alive. Even though people find it easier to relate to gurus that are no longer in the body because you don't have to relate to them. They are not critical. They are not, what is that? They are not demanding. They are not saying, why didn't you come to class? They are not asking for anything. And not that the Guru is asking for anything, but yesterday we saw that there is a powerful projection there can be a powerful projection called transference based on one's own authority issues, which can reject a living Guru. But a living Guru alone handles the Pramana. Oh, but I have really given my heart to a Guru that is not in the body. That is who I consider to be my Guru. But then I am attending your classes. How should I understand this? Somebody said this to Pujya Swamiji. And Pujya Swamiji's response was wonderful. Pujya Swamiji said, definitely you can take it like this, that the Guru who is no longer in the body has blessed you to come to me and listen. That's what it is. That's really what it is. Your Shraddha, even to the Guru who is not in the body, who is now in the form of Bhagavan, leads you to a living, live situation where from you can gain this knowledge. That is the situation. And look at Nachiketa, where all he went to get this knowledge. So the living Guru is the Pramana. The living Guru is the live knowledge that is handed down. Down means it's not up or down, it's just down in the sense of that which comes after, down in terms of time. Para plus avara. Avara means that which comes later, para that which comes first, hands it to avara, and the avara then becomes para, and then hands it to another avara, and this is how the word parampara is formed. Para plus avara or apara. Apara means another one. And then the next one. And so this is how the word parampara is formed. And so here the Shraddha is required for many reasons. Shraddha is required because there is no other way. There are no other options. All options have to just wrap up. And one has to understand that I cannot intuit this, I cannot DIY Vedanta, I cannot do this on my own. I have, this is a knowledge that is teacher dependent. It's like a tour you cannot understand without a tour guide. Maybe a newly excavated place somewhere in India or somewhere else. In Rome, they are in Italy, they're always finding something. And so, if you are going to see the ruins, you won't understand anything. Somebody has to come and show you, oh, this was the living room. How do you know this was the remnant of the living room? Well, because we have studied this and we have found other living room remnants. And I suppose we can't call them living rooms anymore, dead rooms. And so this is where people hung out. This is what it is. They even in Italy, they even found one prehistoric almost coffee shop. So they had a counter and they had little pots of various sizes, and they even scraped the bottom of the pot and found what all they ate in those days. It's just so fascinating. But you need an expert to guide and take you through. You cannot go on yourself. You can, but then in nothing, you won't enjoy it. You won't even know what you're looking at. Similarly, you can delve into the Shastra on your note, but you on your own, but you certainly do not know what you're looking at. You haven't the faintest clue what you're looking at. That is why this Shraddha is needed. And this Shraddha is needed because without this, the knowledge cannot take place. I have to see, just like if I go on a tour, I don't suspect the tour guide. I don't have any suspicion. Oh, are you trying to make a quick money and then a quick couple of bucks and then you are trying to fool me? I don't say that. Generally, people don't say that unless one has some kind of a really distrustful mind. Oh, it's impossible that people hung out here. It's not possible that this is the living room. Nobody doubts that. Where did you get your license for the tour guide? What have you studied? Show me your PhD. Nobody says that. You just have the Shraddha. Okay, I will be led through it. Yes, this will happen. Yes, it will be okay. This is what it is. Yes, this person knows. That same thing we have to have towards the most important pursuit in the life, which is Atmajnana. And because it is not possible any other way. And here is the rub. This is where this is where a block can come. And what is the block? The block is of two kinds, at least. Why not? There is another way. That is one block. The resistance to seeing this purely as a cognitive pursuit. That the alteration is all within. It's not some kind of I'm not trying to manipulate the world into changing. I'm not trying to make the people around me change. I want my vision to change so that I see the world exactly how it is. Oh, what do you mean how it is? How it is means what? How is it? It is, first of all, it is not out here to get me. It is not out to get me. The whole world is not out to get me. The cause of the world, Ishvara, if there is such an entity, that's not out to get me. People around me, other jivas, whether they are human jivas or non-human jivas, are not out to get me. And then what else? The Jagat is not out to get me, Jivas are not out to get me, Ishvara is not out to get me, and I am not out to get me. This is what has to be understood. This is how exactly the world is. This is exactly how the world is. And exactly how the world is, we have to be able to see that. Otherwise, we take the world as a personal affront. It has been made to get me. It is just lopsided, and it is all out to get me. Astrologically also, I was not born, I was star crossed, I was born under the wrong stars. And this one is, I do all the hard work, the neighbor gets the promotion, I do this, and somebody else takes away the credit. This is the story of my life. This is how it is. At least that is how one perceives. There is no other way. But the block is there. That is the resistance. So that is the first block. The second block is living in this world. You are amidst so much color, so many forms, so many people, and people have their own thoughts. And you thought you were the only one who could think and who had free will, etc. But everybody else also seems to be endowed with thought, free will, everything, everything. So much, so much, so much, so much, so much, so much. And this is exactly what we have to see, that whenever we are interacting with the world, the world it's a world of Bhagavan, which is mesmerizing in nature. It's a mesmerizing world. You can get lost in it. And even the person who is yatnashila, who's very who is a sadhaka. Yatnashila means sadhaka, the one who is a seeker, very mindful, can slip. So what are we going to do? One one kind of an obvious remedy, and I don't really subscribe to this, but this is what comes to the mind. One kind of an obvious remedy appears to be shun the world. Become an extreme Vedantin. Hello, an extreme Vedantin does not shun the world. An extreme Vedantin Ishwarizes and embraces the world and everything in it. But in people's mind, shun the world. Or what will you do? Go away to the Himalayas, Kamandalu in hand. Kamandalu is a fancy name for a Swami's water pot, okay? Made of some gold which floats around in the Seychelles Islands, or some kind of a palm gold. And Kamandalus are very hard to come by now. They are also endangered because of climate change and everything. And so this is the Kamandalu is just is a mark of the Swami. Really different, Swami means there has to be some differences. Like what is that? Everybody else has water bottle. Swami has Kamandalu. Some change has to be there after all this effort. Then everybody else has lunch. Swami has bhiksha. You don't say Swami is having lunch. You say Swami is having bhiksha. Everybody else, all the other mortals, they die. Swami attains Mahasamadhi. This is some, funny Swami trivia. Okay, all right. So then, so you take Kamandalu in hand and go off to the Himalayas. This is how we have to pronounce, all right? Not Himalayas, all right? Please don't do that. And so Himalayas. And so you go off to the Himalayas, and then you go, I don't know what you do there, but that is a spiritual romanticism. Away from the world, not disturbed by the world. Even living in the Himalayas, the person has to have the lunch. Sorry, bhiksha. And so for bhiksha, they have to come out. They have to come out and see who else is there. Anybody there? Going to Mansarovar? These are all areas, like tourist spots up in the high in the mountain. Anybody there going to Kailas? Anybody there? And the tourists are few now because who is going to go there? So hard to go there, and now their tourists are also few because they are taking helicopter rides. There, because now you can go via helicopter. And where are all where are all the extreme, quote unquote, extreme Vedantins? Where are they? They are all on the ground. And the tourist is in the helicopter. So bhiksha is hard to come by. So even the person sitting on top of a mountain trying to meditate or be by themselves is still needing to interact with the world. You can't shun the world. In fact, if you shun the world, where will you go? Because the so-called world starts with your own body, mind, and senses. Can you go away from the body? Oh yes, all the time I have an out-of-body experience. All right, you have an out-of-body experience. Fir kya? You come back. You come back to this. You come back to this body alone. You come back to this mind alone. This is what it is. And so you can never run away from your mind. No matter where you go, it will dog you to the ends of the earth. You cannot run away from your body. You can distract yourself. In the Himalayas, you can zone out. Maybe you can see some birds or snowfall and zone out. That you were doing even here. You were zoning out in front of some smartphone. Now you are zoning out in front of the clouds. That's the only difference. There has been no transformation, and there can never be any transformation without reckoning this world. Oh, but the world is very tempting. And in fact, Lord Yama also laments about this very fact. And what does he say? Paranchikhani vyatrinat swayambhuhu parak pashyati nacha antaratman kaschid dhirah atmanam amritatvam icchan atmanam ikshati. And paranchikhani vyatrinat swayambhuhu. The Lord, Vyatrinat means has as though destroyed the human being. The Lord himself has destroyed the human being. Lord Yama says, why? How? Because Bhagavan has put all the orifices with which we interact with the world, they are all outward facing. Kham Khe Khani. Kham is space. So, the spaces with which we interact, all these places through which we take in the world are all facing outside. They are all facing the world. They are all world abhimukha. And then the person is told, go within, go dive deep within. What dive? What deep? What within for that matter? When everything, the whole world is there for me to enjoy. And then I'm told everything is finite. It's true, everything is finite. But the finite cannot exist without the infinite. That is exactly what we have to understand. That is the second block. And for this, to remove these blocks in the assimilation of the teaching, we'll be looking at one or two verses in detail. Let me share them so we can enjoy them together. Okay. So we can read it and enjoy them together. Are you able to see this? Yes?
No. No. Yeah.
No?
Yes.
All right, good. So we'll just, I'll try to make this big so you can, there's no doubt that you are seeing this. Anyachreyah, anyadutaiva preyah, te ubhe nanarthe purushagam sinitah तयोश्रेयः आददानस्य साधु भवति Hiyate arthat ya upreyo vrinite. One more time. Anyat shreyah anyadutaiva preyah te ubhe nanarthe purushagam sinitah tayo shreyah आददानस्य साधु भवति हीयते अर्थात् य उप्रेयो वृणीते. Very beautiful. Lord Yama talks about something which is very interesting. He says that there are two goals in the universe. One is called preyas, declines as preyah. So preyas. What is this prey? What is the meaning of preyas? It is the comparative of priya. Priya, dear, pleasurable, preyas, comparative. What do you mean by comparative? Like dearer, pleasurable, like that. And then there is one more thing. He says another, what is that called? Another pursuit in life is called Shreyas. Shreyas means what? That which is absolute. That which is preferable. One is pleasurable and the other one is preferable. Very interesting. One is preferred and the other one is relatively what is that? Relative. One is preferred, the other one is more often than not chosen. So what is this Shreya? Shreya means the most exalted pursuit in life. Shreyas is a synonym of moksha. Freedom from sorrow, freedom from becoming. Shreyas is moksha. And so this moksha is, how is it gained? How is this Shreyas gained? By catching hold of it and making that one's primary pursuit. Notice I'm not saying the only pursuit. I'm saying the primary pursuit so that all other pursuits subserve. And that is what is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is making moksha your primary pursuit. And then all the relationships that you have in life and all the world with which you interact become a nimitta, become an excuse for self-growth and inner maturity, emotional growth, because of which this knowledge is, and the cultivation of Shraddha, because of which the knowledge is gained. All this becomes a nimitta, it becomes a step along the way. This is Karma Yoga. I'm not entering into the relationship for the sake of the relationship. I am participating in the relationship for self-growth. That kind of a relationship looks completely different than a relationship that is entered into for the sake of completing something, for the sake of some kind of a completion. What kind of a completion? I'm not getting this. I don't have enough of this. I want more. I want this. I want that. I want, something else. And I think I can find it in who? In you. Somebody says. Catches hold of that person. That's why I'm making you into my friend. And you have to be my BFF. Best friend forever. The first B and the F you can remove because what you want is for the forever. And that is Shreyas. BF is Preyas. Do you see why it is difficult to choose Preyas? Sorry, Shreyas. Why is it difficult to choose? Because in every Preyas, in every pursuit of the pleasurable, the preferred is hidden, but then one doesn't see that which is hidden and one goes for the obvious. The obvious is objectifiable. That's why both of them start with ob. Okay. And then that leads to the obvious is objectifiable, and the objectifiable obvious when it is pursued leads to the obfuscation of one's priorities. That's the third ob. All right. This is what happens. And so the obvious is objectified. That's the object. And so that is easy to pursue because I see this. You can see this. I mean, this must have been coined by a 12-year-old. BFF. In fact, one 12-year-old writing to me signed herself like that. You know, I am your BFF. This was in those days when I did not know this Americanism. What is this BFF? Then she herself told me, best friend forever. I said, okay, now I understand. Nobody wants the best friend is a nimitta. It's the obvious manifestation, so I think, of what I really want, which is the forever. I think I can get this forever through this so-called best friend. And then the same thing in the marriage vows. Even in the fifth marriage, one says this time it is forever. One has the hope it is forever. So you don't want the marriage. You don't want the person. You want forever. No, but I also want the person. When do you want the person? All the time. No, that's not true. You don't want the person all the time. You find them highly annoying and you want to go away from them. Sometimes soon after marriage, the person says, I think we need some space. we need to put some space. Right? Because they are spaced out. They don't have the proper way of making the choices is not known. He's totally compromised. And this compromising of the choices is the result of not knowing the difference between Shreyas and Preyas. But what is the difference? This is what the Upanishad says, Anyat eva Shreya. It is separate. Shreyas is completely separate. Shreyas means moksha. The pursuit of wanting to be free of samsara, this life of becoming where I get annoyed and afflicted by everything around me and myself also. And so this is what is moksha. This is the pursuit of prayers, Shreyas. It is something anyadeva. It is totally different. Uta, in fact, anyadeva prayah. Prayas that you talk about is also completely separate from Shreyas. Oh, it's separate, but it is intermingled, and I'm now completely confused. That's why the whole verse we have to read. It is separate, yes, but it is intermingled. How is it intermingled, and how can something be intermingled and separate at the same time? It is separate, but Shreyas, in fact, is the only thing in life. Not recognizing it, it leads to all kinds of dead ends, leaving one deadened to the possibility of moksha. So Shreyas and Preyas are mixed up because all that is there is Shreyas. Preyas is a mere projection. The relative is included in the absolute. The finite is included in the infinite. The limited is included in the limitless. Shreyas is limitless. Preyas is finite, limited, relative. Of course, it is included. In fact, Shreyas is moksha, Shreyas is Brahma Vidya, Shreyas is Atma, Shreyas is you. What kind of a you? That which inhabits every body, every mind, every senses. That which is the cause, which is equated to the cause of the universe. That is you. That is Shreyas. And that you alone That's all that shines. And what is this prayers? Prayers is an as though projection of Shreyas. That's all it is. It is a mere projection because every single thing, if Shreyas is infinity, then the finite is included in the infinite. In fact, without the presence of the infinite, the finite cannot shine. Drik Drishya Viveka, another celebrated Vedanta text, tells us that every object is composed of 5 kinds of aspects or elements. 5 kinds of things, let's say. Every object can be deconstructed and then it has 5 things that stand out. Asti, it exists. Bhati, it shines as an object. I come to know of it. I can objectify it, so therefore it is an object. Asti, bhati, asti, it is. Bhati, it shines as an object. And then Priyam. Priyam means it is dear to me. Oh, come on. Here is where I have lost you because not all objects are dear to me. Scorpions, cockroaches, they are not dear to me. Yes, they are, says the Shruti. How? Some things are dear to you by their proximity, some things are dear to you by their remoteness. The absence of the scorpion in your life is dear to you. The absence of gray hair is dear to you. The absence of wrinkles are dear to you. Absence is dear to you of certain things you don't want. Whereas the certain things that you want, the presence is dear to you. Why? Because I want that dearness. I want that place of being pleased all the time. And that pleasure I get by making these objects into mine. But actually the Shruti says the self is already pleased. So this Astibhati Priyam, 3 things. What are the other 2 things? Nama and Rupa. That makes 5. And the Shankaracharya, who wrote the Digdrishya Viveka, says, Adyatrayam Brahma Rupam. The first 3 belong to Brahman, Ishvara. The first 3 is Satchidananda. A fancy way of saying Satchidananda is Astibhati Priyam. Sat Chit Ananda. Ananda Priyam. Joy and limitlessness. Bhati shines, Sat Chit. Asti Sat. Astibhati Priyam. Satchidananda is the self, is Ishvara, is Atma. Satchidananda, we cannot even say belongs to Atma, is Atma. And then Nama Rupa is the hallmark, the property of the Jagat. What happens is that the Satchidananda upholds the Nama Rupa. So the Satchidananda looks like it is commingled with the Nama and Rupa. Difficult to discern. What does the person do? The person falls for the Nama Rupa, forgetting Satchidananda. Forgetting that one wants Satchidananda, person falls for the Nama Rupa. And then one gets attached to the Nama Rupa because it is objectifiable and you can have it and hold it and all these things. And then therefore one grieves when there is separation from that Nama Rupa, either by conflict or by death or by any other cause. When there is a separation, there is pain, sorrow. This is the story of one's life. And why? Because the difference between Shreyas and Preyas is not recognized. All right, I know that they are both different. How are they different? Well, says Lord Yama, let us first see how they are similar. They are similar. Te ubhe first he says, let's see how they are similar. Purusham sinitaha. Sinitaha means badnitaha. Both of them bind the human being. Bind the human being? I know prayers can bind because going after Nama Rupa, I am in a sense of notion of bondage in relation to these relationships and objects that I find to be dear to me. But how can Shreyas, moksha, which is from the dhatu, from the root verb much to free, how can that be binding? Binding not in that sense, not in the sense of an emotional bondage. Binding in the sense of there are only these two pursuits. You can either go for the mortal pursuits in life for the or the finite, or you can go for the infinite. What do you choose? And if you say, I don't choose anything, there is a default choice. You have chosen prayers. Why is it called prayers? Because those who are choosing prayers are actually saying, pray for us. Exactly. That's why. That's why it is called prayers. Because they need oodles of prayer. Pray for us, pray for us, pray for us. Because we can't help ourselves. We are keeping on choosing prayers, prayers, prayers. Prayers is a kind of a funny English samasa, madhyama pada lopa samasa. The for is hidden. Okay, yeah. So it is just pray us. All right, because the person is in a hurry to get this prayer. So this is the situation. And so the person who is choosing prayers is in peril. Why? Because Lord Yama says that the two are completely opposed to one another. Nanarthe. Nana doesn't mean grandparent, okay? Nana means different. Usually Nana means many, but here Nana means different. That's why Adi Shankara in the Bhashya defines Nana as Bhinna Phalake, Nana Arthe. Artha means the end. The end of these two is Bhinna Phalaka, meaning they lead to different and completely opposite fruits, outcomes. The outcomes are totally opposite. Te ubhe nanarthe. Purushas sinitaha. They bind in different ways. And so this is, they bind in different ways. How do they bind? Because they see, there are only two choices. I have to choose one or the other. If I don't choose one, I'm naturally choosing the other. In other words, if I don't consciously choose Shreyas, then what is the default choice? Pray for us. That's the default choice. So if I'm not choosing Shreyas, then Preyas becomes the default choice, even though I haven't chosen it consciously, I have chosen it unconsciously, which is the problem. That is what the problem is. Nanarthe Purushas Sinita. And then what is that? Then the next one, he says the next line, the tayoho of the two. Shreyaha adadanasya for the one who accepts. For the one who accepts Shreyas. Adadanasya sadhu bhavati. Sadhu bhavati doesn't mean the person will become a sadhu. And then you cannot use that as an excuse to say, hey, I won't choose prayers because I don't want to be a sadhu. No, that is sadhu. This is indeclinable sadhu. Sadhu means well-being. Sadhu, we say. Sadhu means it is all wonderful. Sadhu means wonderful. Sadhu, that is a word for sadhu, as we see the person who is a mendicant, etc. Sannyasi, mendicant, sadhu. That's a different thing. Declines like guru. This is indeclinable, sadhu. Sadhu bhavati means Only the good outcomes come for the person who actively chooses Shreyas, because without actively choosing Shreyas, Preyas is the default choice. Preyas means the one becomes an infinite seeker. Oh, but I thought that's a good thing. No, no, no. It's better to be the seeker of the infinite than an infinite seeker. Infinite seeker means Mahati Vinashtihi. Because that means what? You're constantly seeking. The seeking never comes to an end. Life after life after life, you're seeking without knowing what you're seeking. Prayers means I don't know what I'm really seeking. So I'm making do with what is available and hoping to convert the finite into infinite. That's like saying I'm wanting to convert the yogurt, the homemade yogurt which I made, back to milk. Is that possible? Even in 100 lifetimes? No. Once it is curdled, the milk will never go back to its original form. Similarly, prayers will never lead to Shreyas, will never become Shreyas. Shreyas must be actively chosen. How and all we'll see later. Must be actively chosen. In fact, we have already seen it. We have seen approaching the teacher, we have seen the impossibility of gaining this knowledge without the cognitive shift, for which I need a proper means of knowledge, which is to be handled by the teacher. We have seen it all. That is consciously choosing Shreyas. Not this kabhi kabhi thing, once in a while I choose this Shreyas, rest of the day prayers. So I have compartmentalized my life. Oh, really? Teach me how. Well, a little bit of Shreyas, most of it is prayers. See, now everybody is happy. Yes, everybody may be happy. You are not going to be happy with this choice. Oh, but I want little samsara. I want little masala. And it's no fun. Little bit of tadka. Tadka means seasoning must be there in life. Otherwise, what do you want me to do? I want to just, okay, yeah, Lord Yama may say that Shreyo Adadanasya Sadhu Bhavati. Good things, only one wonderful outcomes come for the person who chooses Shreyas. But then that means what will I be doing all the time? I will be just studying Vedanta. I'll become old. I'll become tired. And really speaking, how many people get moksha? Come on, wake up. वो किसको मिलता है? How many people get? Even Lord Krishna in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita says what? मनुष्याणां सहस्रेषु कश्चिद् यतति सिद्धये यततामपि सिद्धानां कश्चिन्मां वेत्ति तत्त्वतः. Out of the thousands and thousands of people seeking me, only one gains, one seeks me in the right way. And then out of the thousands of people seeking me in the right way, only one comes to know me as the truth of themselves. Come on, who's going to get this moksha? So I will not have Shreyas. And then you are tying my hands and saying, don't go for prayers. This is not acceptable to me. I want to have fun. All the time studying Vedanta. And now there are Zoom Kulam classes. Gurukulam classes are also there. And in addition, there are Zoom Kulam classes. So what? I should be bug-eyed and I should just keep on looking at the screen or keep on going to Vedanta classes. How boring. Why should I do this? What am I going to get out of this? And meanwhile, all the opportunities are going by. Here goes one, there goes something else. And give up, 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 give up. What? What am I going to get? And you say there is no, even afterlife is temporary, you said. And at least up till now, I had some sights on the afterlife. And now afterlife is also temporary. Vapas aega, comes back. Comes back to the earth with a vengeance after shedding off, so to speak, to use a cliche, the mortal coils of one life. gets coiled up in another mortal life. What is this? So what is this Shreya? Why should I choose Shreyas? And why does Lord Yama says you have to choose Shreyas? Well, let me give you a very compelling reason to choose Shreyas. Okay, this could be life changing. Knowing this could be life changing. How? What are you going to tell me that I already don't know? I already know Shreyas, Prayas, and I told you I want a little bit of Shreyas, and the rest of the time I want prayers. Well, to that I tell you that that is not possible because it's an either or situation. You have to choose Shreyas, otherwise you will be saying, pray for us. You will be miserable. No, but I don't want Shreyas all the time. I'm not a full-time Shreyas kind of person. I want little bits here and there. Let me give you that aforementioned compelling reason. The most compelling reason to choose Shreyas is that when you choose Shreyas, what happens? Prayas comes along for free. What? Really? Yeah. Prayas is included in Shreyas. So all the things that you find pleasurable will come and are included in the pursuit of the preferable. In the pursuit, in when you give your life to moksha, all the things you want just come to be. Real happens. Sometimes people say, I don't have time to study. And I say, come on, make some time to study. No, I have too many responsibilities. Come on, doesn't matter. Participate. Make some time to study. And then what happens? Immediately, life arranges itself. People tell me this again and again. They told me at the office I need to come only one day a week. So I have a lot of time to study Vedanta. And the difficult spouse who was being very, very difficult has gone away to her native place for a couple of months. And so I can take this. Somebody told me this. I can take this 1 month course because otherwise I would have no time. And then the children are less demanding because now they are in college. They are not at home. Life rearranges itself. In fact, we should say Bhagavan rearranges your life. When you choose Shreyas, Prayas comes. If you're meant to eat, food will come. No, let's not be that drastic. I want to cook. Okay, cook. Don't worry. All right, yeah. But if you have that, if you have Shreyas in your sights, Prayas is included. Why? Because in the pursuit of the absolute, the relative has to be included. Relative and the relatives too. So if you're fond of your relatives, they are included too. They come along. What about marriage? Yes, that is included in Shreyas also. Abba, okay. What about friends? BFF. Yeah, BF is included. The other one is F. That itself shows in the little acronym BFF, best friends forever. You can see how Shreyas includes prayers. The forever includes all the iterations that this forever can take in this finite world. But knowing I am after the forever, I take this, I take all relationships with, with an attitude that I am actually for that self growth. Relationship becomes avenues of emotional maturity. They are not things in themselves to which I am beholden to maintain, to which I am obligated, to which I am addicted. They become avenues. They become avenues for various kinds of growth that is needed. I latch on to prayers like a baby latches on to the feeding bottle or the mother's milk, whatever it is. And then after that, what? The weaning stage comes. In the beginning, the baby cannot leave the bottle, the baby cannot leave the mother. Source of food is this. I cannot leave. I'm attached. I cry. The baby says, no, I'm too insecure. But as it grows up, something happens. As it grows up, it says, oh, there is something else. Teddy bear, shiny toy, another child to play. And wonderful things. Now I'm having teeth. And so I can bite into these wonderful tasting things. Some tasty things mother is giving. And I can eat rice now. I can eat dal. That looks very nice. So then the desire and the clinging to the breast milk just goes down. Naturally, it drops, it drops, it drops. The baby doesn't even have to make an effort. Sometimes the parents don't even have to make an effort. Sometimes naturally the child, with a little bit of help, weans itself, gets weaned. And then, because there are other things in the universe to relate to, other sources of food are there. I'm not going to die. I'm not going to go hungry if this life-size feeding bottle called mother is not there. I'm not going to go hungry. The child is now convinced. Similarly, the inner child who is holding on to the feeding bottle called prayers. What kind of a feeding bottle is it? It's a feeding bottle that is always empty. Just one is making the suckling sounds. No milk is coming, no sustenance is coming. Or maybe the right angle, I have to hold it. Maybe the milk is not reaching the lips, so I have to tip it this way and hold it. All right, tip it. Oh, little bit of milk has come. Great, enjoy it. Oh, now it is empty. And then sometimes I just want to throw away the feeding bottle as the inner child. Why? Because sometimes this milk is very, very bitter. Karma phala, okay? The milk is karma phala, results of karma. The milk is very, very bitter. Oh no, it's curdled, it's gone bad. Why? Karma. Okay, throw away the feeding bottle. You see now it is giving you toxic milk. Like sucking out of Putana's breast. Putana was this demoness who tried to poison Lord baby Krishna. But then, this is the throw away the feeding bottle. No, 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 no. Good milk will come soon. Hope springs eternal. The hope, this hope is like saying, I'm going to squeeze a pebble, a stone, and then make oil. If I squeeze it hard enough, oil will come. Oil will not come regardless of how much you toil. Okay? It will not come. It will just, this is a useless course of events. So in the beginning, when the Guru says that your feeding bottle is useless, your feeding bottle is not going to feed you. Your feeding bottle is just making you more hungry, making you more angry. And the anger that comes out of hunger is called hanger. So you are getting hangry as a result. So therefore, give up this feeding bottle, says Lord Yama, says the Guru, Lord Yama here. And you say, no, oh, there is a lot of food. In fact, this is not what you want. I'll feed you wonderful things. What you want is the food of the Shastra. And then somebody living in Eugene always has to say, but is it organic? Yeah, because this is how they do it there. So is it organic? Yes, it is organic. Why? Because it has come from Bhagavan. It is organic. And so this Shastra is your food. Why is the Shastra my food? Because the Shastra will tell you the perils of this feeding bottle. The Shastra will teach you that your hunger can only be filled by this knowledge that you are no longer hungry, that you were never hungry to begin with. Your hunger is a dream hunger. This fellow ate a 5-course meal right before bed, which is not at all advised. Why? Because one can have nightmares. What was his nightmare? OMG, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. This is an Upanishad example, very beautiful example. So the fellow was so hungry, where? Dream hunger. Dream hunger. And he thought he was starving. And it was so uncomfortable. He thought he was dying of starvation. Thankfully, his wife sleeping next to him jostles him awake. He says, "What are you doing? Get up, you're in the middle of a terrible dream." Then he wakes up to find that, oh my God, I have a stomachache, I've eaten so much. That party was too much food. And so this is like a dream hunger. Why? Because you're sleeping the sleep of self-ignorance. That's why you're having the nightmare that you are hungry when you are purna, full, whole, free. You dream of bondage when there is none. You have a nightmare that you are starving when you are actually totally filled. And you have a dream that you are dying when you are actually immortal. And you are addicted to this bottle called prayers feeding bottle. You think you are sucking on it, but actually it is sucking the life force out of you. You are spent, you are tired, you are bored. Still the addiction will not go. That's why a leap of faith. That's why the reason to choose Shreyas. Tayoho Shreyah Adadhanasya Sadhurbhavati. But then there's always the questioning mind, the doubting mind. What happens if I don't choose Shreyas? Let's say I choose prayers. Okay, you said default choice is prayers. All right, what will happen? Upanishad is very obliging. Lord Yama says, you can listen to that also. Hiyate. Ha, to give up. Hiyate, it is given up. Hiyate arthat, that is given up. What? Artha. Artha means whatever you want. Source of security, artha. The purpose in life, artha. Your goals, ambitions, artha. Hiyate arthat. One slips away from all the things that one wants. Yaha u means, by default, the one who, preyaha vrinite, the one who chooses prayas, indeed slips away from all the whole purpose of life. Prayas. When you choose prayas, you are saying, I don't want the infinite. I only want the finite. I just want the finite. I don't want the infinite. And I'm going to choose the finite. When you choose the finite, what do you get? Finite. So you're in love with the names and forms. You are completely addicted to the various iteration of the names and forms. You are in love with the upadhi, the various containers in which all the names and forms come. And then what? Nothing else is there. And the upadhi dies away. The upadhi is destroyed, or the upadhi, either through death or disfavor, goes away from you. Is upset with you, so that particular person goes away from you. You have lost a friend because of a misunderstanding. And then what? Sorrow ensues, fear ensues, panic ensues, anger ensues. Resentment comes. Why? Because I made the mistake of thinking that the finite was infinite. I was infinitely attached to the finite. This is the lot of the person who chooses praise. Whatever you choose, actually there is no other choice. What you want is Shreyas. But since you don't know, Lord Yama says, you keep choosing prayers and falling flat on the face again and again and again. When you choose Shreyas, meaning when Shreyas is firmly in your sights, how? By connecting to this knowledge, by dedicating your life to this knowledge. What about other things? Other things also you can have. Other things come along for free. No, but I want to actively pursue my dreams, desires, goals. Yes, pursue them as a way of working for this knowledge, as a way of maturing for this knowledge. Pursue those as a way of learning how to drop the feeding bottle. And the feeding bottle will be dropped. Rasavarjam rasopyasya param tyaktva nivartate, Bhagavad Gita says. The feeding bottle gets dropped when? The feeding bottle gets dropped when the truth is in sight. When that source of the milk, you're getting the whole cow. Don't settle for the feeding bottle. In fact, you're getting a herd of cows. In fact, you are the owner of this dairy farm. Don't settle for the feeding bottle or whatever little milk it has. The whole thing is there's a river of milk for you. There's an ocean of milk for you. There is an oceanic fullness, which is the truth of you, which is what you want to be, which is what you already are. Go for that. Don't go for the relative. Go for the absolute. The relative becomes more enjoyable when you go for the absolute. You Ishvarize the whole world. The whole world shines as Ishvara. And through this Ishvarification, see, now you know two words, Ishvarize and Ishvarification, both of them. So through this Ishvarification, you learn to enjoy the finite because you just see the infinite through and through. See, meaning again, you don't see it as an object, but you understand, you get the infinite, you connect to the infinite. And you see Ishvara in the smile of a child. Even when the child is annoyed, you see Ishvara, it is so cute. Because you see the whole world of psychology, which is the manifestation of Ishvara. You see Ishvara in the cute animals, dogs, cats, etc. And then you see Ishvara in the ferocious animals, bears, coyotes, hyenas, big cats. Ishvara, naturally. You approach them with respect. In fact, you don't approach them at all. Don't try to take a selfie with the bear. Why? Because these days the bears are taking their own selfies, we have found. There was one bear in the forest which got fascinated with the camera they had put there. And then it took 400 selfies of itself in various poses like this, like that, side pose, silhouette, in the dark, in the front, smiling with teeth bared, every possible photo it took. Now the only question is, to whom does the copyright belong? That we have to ask. And so the thing is, go take selfie with a bear. Why? It's the manifestation of Ishvara. Ishvara in a Raudra form. Wild animal. Ishvara. And same thing you see everywhere in nature. You see this. And then even the most violent forms are what? Manifestations of Ishvara. When I bring in Ishvara, I am in touch with the infinite. And the finite becomes pleasurable because I am fully connected to the infinite. This is the last frontier of duality. This Ishvarization is the last frontier of duality. And this is what has to be got hold of. This is how one has to progress, because first thing you do is Ishvarize see the world as Ishvara. Satchidananda means Ishvara. Cause of the world is not away from the world. as we saw. And then you see Ishvara in each and everything, in each and every being. Everything is Ishvara. Up, down, Ishvara. All the cardinal directions, Ishvara. Non-cardinal directions, Ishvara. Whatever you want, Ishvara. Whatever you don't want, Ishvara. Your own body, Ishvara. Your mind, Ishvara. Your senses that drive you senseless is also Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara. Karma phala, papa, punya coming out from other lifetimes and even earlier this lifetime, perhaps Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara. And when I see it this way, then I am no longer disappointed. I'm not disappointed. I'm not, I feel protected. I'm not insecure. Insecure. And then there is one more verse. We'll read that today, and then we'll see that in the concluding session. We'll read that and understand it a bit today, and then we'll look at it in the concluding section. Shreyascha preyascha manushyametah tau samparitya vivinakti dhirah श्रेयो हि धीरः अभिप्रेयसो वृणीते प्रेयो मन्दः योगक्षेमाद् वृणीते श्रेयश्च प्रेयश्च मनुष्यमेतः तौ सम्परीत्य विविनक्ति धीरः श्रेयो हि धीरः अभिप्रेयसो वृणीते प्रेयो मन्दः योगक्षेमाद् वृणीते. This verse answers the question, why, in spite of knowing this, how come I am still a preyas addict? Why am I an addict? Why do I want the relative when I can have the absolute? Guru is there, teaching is there, everything is there, and yet I go for the finite. Why am I a finitoholic when I can easily understand that I am the infinite? Why am I addicted to the finite? This verse answers the question. Shreyascha preyascha manushyam etah. So now the Shreyas and Preyas are personified. Shreyas, moksha, freedom from a notion of bondage, from sorrow, fear. Preyas, the relative. All other kinds of name form based enjoyments which are all finite. Now they are both personified. Shreyascha preyascha manushyam etah. Both Shreyas and Preyas approach the human being. And then what do after they approach the human being? Well, they don't do much. They are standing there in front of me. They're standing there in front of the person. What kind of person? Two kinds of people are talked about. They're standing there. And then one of them is called Dhira, the wise person. Wise person doesn't mean the person is quote unquote enlightened or anything. Wise means the person who is who is a discerning person, who has discernment. Discernment, the Sanskrit word for discernment is viveka. Discernment between what and what? Discernment between the finite and the infinite, the permanent and the non-permanent. And the wherewithal to choose the permanent rather than be mired by everything impermanent. This is discernment. And this discernment alone one has to have. One has to have this discernment, and then there is that person who has the discernment is called Dhira. Dhi means buddhi, the intellectual faculty which is engaging in this discernment. Ra is short for Rati. Rati means the one who is using it, or the one who can even give it to others. Dhihi Rati Dadati iti dhiraha. The one who can share that wisdom, share that discernment is called dhira. So one person is called dhira and the other person is called what? Manda. Manda means slightly dull. Dulled by one's senses, dulled by the intoxication to the finite. The intoxication to the finite leaves one dulled about the nature of the pursuit itself. That's why one is in a stupor, tamas, like the buffalo we see over which Lord Yama has command. This water buffalo, the minion of the mascot of Lord Yama, standing there by the side of him. Lord Yama, minion of death here, teaching the Upanishad. And the buffalo is also present on the throne. Do you see the horns here? The horns of the buffalo here on the throne? Yeah, you see that. Very interesting throne. And so, this is the one who chooses prayers has got to be dulled by the shining of the finite, dulled by the intoxication of the feeding bottle, thinking that this is what is going to sustain me. Alas, the feeding bottle is empty. Still, the suckling motion doesn't stop. Like if you see little babies, after they have been fed and put to sleep, they are still, their lips are going through the motions of suckling. This is how the inner child is. Always wanting immediate gratification, intense and instant, some kind of a fulfillment, which obfuscates the fact that you are already full. Like the person who was full had the nightmare. What was the nightmare? I am hungry. This is what you are. Wake up from the stupor. Choose Shreyas. Choose this thing called Shreyas, which is yourself. Choose yourself. What is Preyas? Preyas is everything else. Anatma, not you. That which you can objectify is Preyas. And the object resolves into the subject. If you choose the subject, all the objects are included. If you choose the object, you are miserable. If you choose object, you have abject misery. That is what happens. That's a good way to remember. Object leads to abject misery. The choice of the object leads to abject misery. That's what it is. So, dhiraha samparitya means having examined both Shreyas and Preyas. The dhira chooses Shreyas over Preyas. But then there is another person, Manda. The Manda chooses prayers because of fear. Yogakshema. Yogakshema, fear. Yogakshema means some worldly pursuits, that which make me think that I need this. And that kind of a pursuit is what is Yogakshema. We'll see that. In the last session, we'll see all this in more detail. And the slightly dull person chooses prayers. Prayers is a default choice of mediocrity. It's a mediocre choice. So Manda is a very good translation, is mediocre person. The person who is mediocre means it's not their fault. It's just that they are not going the extra mile to use the brains that God has given them. This is the hallmark of mediocrity. You want to play safe. You don't want to rock the boat. Somehow little bit of milk is coming in the feeding bottle. Let me be okay with that. Let me fight with the world. Let me fight with others to get their feeding bottle to see if that has more milk. But I don't want to stop. I don't want to even think. Perhaps I don't need this feeding bottle. Maybe I have outgrown this. Maybe I'm like a baby who, not a baby, a toddler who should no longer depend on the feeding bottle or the pacifier. Maybe it's time to spit it out. I don't even think like this. Why? This is the being wedded to mediocrity because of extreme fear. What that fear is, etc., we'll see in the last session, which is when is that? When in the morning. Yeah, morning we'll have meditation 7 to 7:30, and then 8 to 9 will be the last session. After that, we can have some sharing of the highlights of this retreat, so that I have kept some time for that as a conclusion. So 8 to 9:30 in the morning is the last class. 7 to 7:30 is meditation. So I will see you then. I have left some time here. If anybody wants to ask any questions, you can do that now. We'll say the closing prayer and then we can open it up for questions. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. So, any questions, you can either type in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and ask.
Swamiji, I'm confused about the Nachiketa's last question when you say he knows that I know what is righteousness, what is unrighteousness, and then Yama explains to him Om Tat It. But what was the gist of the last question?
The last question is, I want that which is not, which cannot be split into good, bad, into past, present. That which is beyond these markings, past, present, future, good, bad. That is what I want. That is what he says. That which is indivisible. That is what Om. Om is you. Om is indivisible. And that Om is, that is what he teaches. Om. I hope that is clear. That which cannot be divided. Here on earth, we divide everything. The only thing that cannot be divided is the divider. You, the you who divides everything, is indivisible. That you have to know. That is what Lord Yama says. Any other questions? Okay. All the best. See you in the morning. Take care. Thank you. Om
Namaste.
Namah Shivaya.